All right, so being cool here with Ricky Warwick. How you doing, man?
I'm doing good, man. Good to see you. Thanks for having me on.
So I want to say first off, congratulations on the new single, "Fighting Hearts."
Thank you. Thank you so much.
I really
Yeah,
dig.
I'm stoked.
I really dig that track, man. It sounds like it'd be ready for a soundtrack. To be honest.
Well, that would be cool. I'd take that. Yeah. So yeah, if anybody wants to put it in a movie or anything, feel free.
It's what we need right now. It's like a real inspirational track. You don't really see
Thank
any of
you.
that going on right there. You know what I mean?
Thank you. Yeah, it's quite sort of prophetic that the song was written, in 2018, and the album was actually recorded in 2019, and way before this horrible pandemic was anywhere near us. And the fact that it's kind of taken on a whole new meaning now with everything that's going on, which is cool. That the song stood up.
So the album comes out next month. Is that right?
Yeah, it comes out on February 19th.
See, it's got to be cool doing a solo album, man, because you're totally in control. There's no bullshit of saying, you should be doing this, you should be doing that, or hurting people's feelings. You know what I mean? By replacing them with a guest.
Well, that's exactly it. Ramsey is the fact that be as narcissistic as you want to be, and selfish as you want to be. Look, I love being in a band. I love being in Black Star Riders. I love the guys. I love that democratic process. But it's nice to be able to make decisions and not consider, for other people's input. So I enjoy it. It's nice. It's the best of both worlds.
Now you got some pretty interesting guests on there, man. How'd you score all of them?
The friends, I'm being blessed that over the years, these guys who have been inspirations to me as a fan of their music, I've got to tour them, meet them, and they've become really firm friends over the years. Joe Elliott, I go back with Joe almost 30 years. I was Joe's best man at his wedding, and we're really tight. And Joe actually produced my first two solo records, so there's a huge connection there. And Joe's like at my sounding board for me. I'm always sending him stuff. Listen, the guy that sold 150 million albums, you're gonna listen to what he has to say, right? So Joe's a friend. Andy Taylor, I've worked with many times. From Duran Duran and Power Station. Dizzy, we've toured with Guns with Thin Lizzy, and I got known Dizzy for years. So it's just, I'm just very blessed to be able to call these people friends, but they're also artists that I really admire as well in their own right.
You got your kid on the album too, right?
Yeah, she's the most special guest of all.
That's gotta be real cool. What was that like recording?
Thank you. Oh, that was awesome. I think it was way more exciting for me than it was for her, because she's at that sort of age now where she's doesn't really get too phased about anything, but she's really into her music. She's a great little singer and plays a couple of instruments, and I primarily wrote the song about her. It's a song called Time Don't Seem to Matter. And I said, hey, kiddo, this song's about you. You got to come in and sing on it. And she's like, okay, can we go to Starbucks afterwards? So she was more kind of, but a proud dad moment, of course. It was amazing.
That's awesome, man. I mean, that's a memory that you're never going to forget. Plus,
Thank you.
The world too. You know what I mean?
Yeah, of course. It was definitely a special day.
So you mentioned the album was recorded in 2019 with a video.
Yes.
Did you shoot that before pandemic, or did you shoot that during? Or
no, the video, both videos that are out there for Fighting Heart and You Don't Love Me was shot on the same day in the Joshua Tree Desert. Back in August, when you were still allowed some kind of socializing, as long as it was kind of outdoors and limited to amount of people, before we went into the full-on lockdown that we're in now here in California. So that video was shot August of last year on a very hot, dry desert day.
Now, I noticed that it's got to be hard releasing music during this pandemic. I mean, you don't have the ability to tour to back it up.
Sure.
But I see that you're doing something special, that if you pre-order, you get a bonus of covers. Is that right?
Yeah. So yeah, well, usually when you put a record together, the label's always saying, hey, you got any bonus tracks or any demos of the songs? And I did my last album came out in 2016, and I did sort of pledge campaign for sort of special VIP stuff for that. And I was doing updates every week, and I was playing these acoustic covers from a stairwell in my home and making them exclusive to the supporters out there. And my manager said, hey, you should record these songs, and we'll put it out there to the people that pledged. And that's what I did. Kind of forgot about it. So it was never actually officially released. So when the record label asked for the bonus material for When Life Was Hard and Fast, my manager's like, hey, you're sitting on this acoustic cover version album. Let's put that out there and make it an official release. So that's on there as the bonus disc.
That's awesome, man. So I see that you have plans on touring in April in UK.
Yeah.
What's that got to be fucking like?
I mean, I don't know if that's going to happen. Ramsey. I mean, the clock's ticking, and we're already sort of towards the end of January, and nobody's moving, nobody's going anywhere, and rightly so until we get through this. So I'm sure I'm going to probably have to end up moving those dates. Look, I want to play, and I want to go to shows as much as anybody else, but I'm very much the opinion that, I want it to be safe, and I want it to be everybody feel good about going out and getting back in and socializing. And until that's the case, I don't really want to do anything, So if it means moving the shows, then so be it. I'll just have to move them.
Not only that, man. I mean, if you go overseas, you might get locked over there for who knows how long.
Well, there is that as well. The risks are just aren't worth it at the minute, and I mean you can't anyway. So, and it will come back. We'll get through this. I think there's definitely a light now with the vaccines coming in, and I think hopefully we'll be getting over the worst of this horrible pandemic, and it'll be slow, but we'll get back to some kind of normality soon, I'm sure.
See, it's going to be fucked up as a musician, though, man. I mean, not knowing when you can actually go to work, it's got to be just.
It's insane, I mean, I've been playing shows since I was 14 years old, since I'm my first band. We started playing like youth clubs and school discos, and this is the longest in 40 years that I've gone without playing a show. It's almost 14, 15 months now since I got on a plane or played a show, and that's just insane to think that something that was never taken for granted, but something that was just part of my life that was always there, that I never thought would go away, has went away for as long as it has. And by the time we probably get back out there, who knows how long it's going to be. And believe me, I'll be ready. I'll be ready to hit those boards.
Yeah, for sure, man. I mean, it's just got to be so confusing not knowing what the possibilities are. Like,
yeah, because nobody can call it. That's the problem. Nobody can say this is when this is going to end. This is when we'll get back out there. This is when you can play, because we just don't know. We just, we're just at the mercy of this crazy virus, and only time will tell, and we just got to play along with it until we get to a point where, like I said, everybody feels good and everybody either gets immunized and it's safe to get back out there.
It's not only knowing when, it's going to be how. I mean, what size venues are going to be able to play? You know what I mean? You got all that.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, is there going to be limitations? Is everybody going to have to prove that they've been immunized, the temperature check? I mean, who knows? Are they going to have to wear masks inside the venue still? I mean, all that's got to be taken into consideration. It's going to be we're in uncharted waters here going forward, but that's the key is we got to go forward. You got to keep pushing forward and keep believing that we'll get out of this. And I do. And I think that we will, we'll definitely come out the other side healthier, better, and stronger.
See, as you say, you got to keep pushing forward. It's got to be hard, especially when you see some bands that are actually going out and doing shows. Then you get people shitting all over them from saying, I can't believe you're doing a show right now. It's like, yeah, you got to try something. You know what I mean?
Well, man, for me personally, I believe in science, and I believe in doctors, and they're the rules that I follow. And if I'm not well, or I'm sick, or I break a bone, I go to a doctor and he tells me what to do. And these guys are telling us what to do. And sadly, a lot of people choose to ignore that. And then they wonder why this thing's prolonged as much as it is. What are we heading for? Almost, sadly, 400,000 deaths here in America. And that's just awful. And this thing is very, very real. I think people have a duty, not just to themselves, but to other people, to take this thing seriously and not prolong it and not put other people at risk. It's not to do with politics. It's just to do with common sense,
So that's got to be something to keep in your mind too. I mean, once shit does open up, I mean, how many people are going to feel comfortable enough to be the first ones to start going to show? Yeah. You know what I mean?
Absolutely, man. Yeah. You've got to be safe. You got to go out there with some air of confidence. And I think that's why I'm prepared to be in this for the long run. I'm not going to try and rush out there. Is there any loopholes? Can we go play a show? Oh, there's not so much of a lockdown in this state. Can we go there? Or can we go to that country? Let's get through this. Let's get everybody happy and well and safe, and then let's start the rock and roll, going again when that's in place.
So now everything's changed around. I mean, before you put out an album, you go on tour to back it. Now that's a possibility. What's it like as a musician trying to change everything around, trying to get social media to follow her?
Yeah, well, I mean, the key is, like you said, it's social media. There's so much, thank God for the internet. There's so much online stuff that you can do, and I've been trying to take advantage of that as much as possible. I've been doing once a month. I've been doing like an online show. streaming from my house, just an acoustic online show, which is great. And it's great to be able to do that. And those have been super successful and a lot of fun. It gives me something to focus on and something to look forward to. I mean, it's not the same, obviously, as playing live, but I'm still able to interact with the people on there through the social media networks. And that's been a bit of a lifesaver, to be honest with you. And I've just been writing as much as I can, trying to get ahead, trying to stay busy, doing a lot of promo for the record, which has been great, and just trying to stay focused and be as positive as I can.
Now, what's it like being at home for so long?
In some ways, in a lot of ways, man, I've had a great year. It's considering all this is going on. This is the first time I've got to be home with my wife and kids since I can remember. Usually, dad's going away, every month or every 6 weeks for 4, 5, 6 weeks at a time. So to not have to do that and be home and be with them every day has definitely been a blessing. And it's, in that respect, it's been really, really nice. Yes, it sucks that I can't get to do what I love and what I do for a living, but there's a roof over my head, there's food in the fridge. My wife's able to work from home. I'm able to like I said, do the online stuff. We're a lot better off, sadly, than some people are, and I don't take that for granted. So again, Ramsey, it's just trying to find the positives and stay focused and stay upbeat. Sure, I get days that suck, and I get days where I'm like, oh man, what's the point? And is this thing ever going to end? Like everybody else, but thankfully those days are few and far between. I'm just blessed, to be able to have a good family around me and be able to spend some time. It's been lovely. It's been really good.
See, one thing now the fans got to realize, it's time to really back the musicians that they love. You know what I mean? I mean, it's a job for you. There's no bailout. There's no unemployment for being a rock star. You know what I mean? No. You still got to find ways to make money, and people think music is free these days, which is your part.
Well, yeah, I'm a working touring musician. I'm lucky that I've achieved a decent level of success, but I still need to work. I'm not in that 1% where I can just kick back and not worry about anything because the record sales are so huge. I make most of my living off touring, and I'd say 70% of my income is touring. So you take that away, that's huge. Record sales obviously are not what they used to be. Streaming services don't pay shit, so you can't really just sit back unless you're in the Uber Premier League of bands and just live off royalties. For most of us, and most bands and most musicians, is about getting out there and touring, and that's been the hardest part to. That's obviously hit us hard in the pocket, and that's been taken away. And like I said, the live streaming thing's been good and it's been successful, and that generates some income, but it certainly doesn't generate the income I would have made if I was on the road for 6 months a year.
Now it's going to be interesting, man, when shit opens back up to see what bands actually made it. I mean, some of these dudes got to go back to 9 to 5s, and they don't know what, you know what I mean? It might making more money doing whatever they're doing right now than actually going back on the road, like the up and comers and shit like that.
Well, that's it, man. People have got families to support and children to feed, and you got to do what you got to do to do that. And it's been hard on all of us, and some people, like you said, just aren't able to maybe do the online stuff, or they're just not able to sustain their career without playing live. There's a lot of guys that are out there even more than 6 months a year because they have to be, and they're not able to do that. And I feel bad for them, but hopefully everybody will be able to come back and start playing and get back into it. But I'm sure, like you said, sadly there'll be some casualties, along the way.
Now let's go back to the day you got the phone call to be the singer for Thin Lizzy, man.
What do you want to know?
What was that like for you, man? Like when you got the phone call?
It was insane. It still is insane. And growing up in Ireland, Thin Lizzy were still are my favorite band. The soundtrack of my youth. And I idolize Phil and always have since I was a kid. And when somebody says, would you like to sing for your favorite band? When you're a kid, that's your dream. That's like winning the musical lottery. So when Scott Gorham called me up and asked me that, I was completely gobsmacked. I was just blown away. I'd known Scott. Scott and I have been friends for a long, long time. So I thought he was just kind of calling me up just to say, hey, how's it going? Shit to shit. What are you doing? What's going on? And then he sort of dropped that question, and it was just like, I said, what, seriously, me, for real? He's like, yeah, he says, I think you'd be the guy to do it. And I said, yeah, absolutely, I'm in, and I think I talked to Scott for a little while about how he wanted to present the band, how what the idea was behind putting the new lineup together, and then the phone went down, and then that's when the reality hit me. It's like, shit, what have I done?
Right.
How the hell am I going to pull this off? What am I going to do? The enormity of the whole thing really hit home. But the good thing was I had some time. I had about almost a year from when Scott asked me to join to the first show. So I had a lot of time to think about it and think about how I would want to do it. At the end of the day, I'm just a fan. There's one lead singer in Thin Lizzy, and that's Phil. Phil's the lead singer. And when I close my eyes and think of Thin Lizzy, I don't see me singing. I see Phil, and that's the way it should be, and that's the way everybody should see it. What I've been given is the chance to sing those wonderful songs and keep the spirit of Phil and Thin Lizzy alive. I'm not standing in his shoes because that's crass. You can't stand in somebody like Phil Lynott's shoes. All I can do is stand beside him. And I've tried to approach it with as much humility as a fan, but being Irish and putting my heart and my soul and passion into those songs that have been the soundtrack of my life and play them like my life depended upon it. Trying to sound as much as I can the way Phil would want them to sound, but also making sure that I put as much as my own personality into it as well, without trying to make them unrecognizable. I thought about it, Ramsey, how would I want to hear those songs? I want to hear them as close to the originals as possible. But, I wouldn't want somebody to be mimicking Phil's every move or everything like that. So I had to take, it was like a fine line. I had to take all that into consideration and just approach it with, as much humility and honor as I could. And that's what I try to do. That's all I can try to do.
Well, I mean, I think you did a great job, that's for sure.
Thank you. Thank you, man. I appreciate that.
When you go back and you look at classic rock, I mean, there's so many bands that have different singers now, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Look at Foreigner. There's not even one original member left. It's a great thing,
Yeah. I mean, listen, we're all getting older and people die. And that's just the way that it is. Our generation is the first generation where our rock and rollers are dying of old age. Rock and roll really started in the 50s. So you're getting the guys that were along there, up there in their 70s and 80s. And sadly, as old Father Time is taking many of these great rock and rollers. So we're the first generation to ever deal with that. The music doesn't die. I would love it long after I'm gone if people would sing my songs. That's why you make the music. You're creating a legacy. Why would you want to create music and then when you're not here anymore, go, well, that's it. My music goes with me. I don't want anybody to sing. That's pointless. That you're creating art. Art lives forever. And I think that people have to realize that. And I think if somebody replaces a member, if it's done with soul and integrity, you can smell bullshit a mile away. You can smell when people are just doing it for the money or somebody's dialing it in or doesn't believe in it. It stinks. You can tell. But I think there's a lot of artists out there and bands that have replaced members, and people have kind of doing a really good job because they believe in it and they want to do a good job. And I think that's the difference.
Now, you think there's a band that you couldn't replace the singer for?
Yeah, I think there's certain things. Look, I mean, again, I said I feel like I'm not replacing Phil. I just feel I'm looking after his song.
Well, what I'm saying, I don't carry on.
I think obviously Lemmy, Motorhead jumps to mind. There's only one Lemmy, and there's only one Phil. But I think again, it's all about the approach. And I think if somebody was to walk about going, "Oh, I'm the new lead singer and such," of say a band that had a classic iconic frontman, that stinks. I think it's all about how you approach it with the love and the respect. It's about keeping the songs alive, not that person, because the person is gone, but their music is there, and it's keeping the soul of the songs alive, not the soul. You're not trying to replace the person that sang them. You're just trying to keep the songs going. And I think that's how you have to look at it.
Now, when Axl took over and he was the frontman for AC/DC for that tour,
I loved it.
Were you guys supposed to be the opening act? I mean, that was what the rumor was.
There was rumors. We've done some shows with Guns back in 2012 as Thin Lizzy. We did a bunch of UK shows with them back in 2012. And that was amazing. That was really cool. We would have loved to have got on those AC/DC shows as Thin Lizzy or Black Star Riders, but for whatever reason, it didn't work out.
Yeah, man, I was so pumped. Well, I heard you guys were going to be opening. We got there. I don't even know who the fuck opened up. I was so disappointed.
Right. Oh, man. Sorry, man.
Now, tell me how the transition went from Thin Lizzy to Black Star Riders?
We toured with Thin Lizzy for a couple of years, and the momentum was great, and the shows were going well, and you get itchy, and you know, because you're in a band with songwriters, it was brand about maybe we should start recording some songs. And Scott Gorham kind of brought it up, and Damon Johnson, who obviously your viewers and listeners will know from Brother Kane, and was in Black Star Riders too. He and I are both songwriters, and we were kind of like waiting for sort of Scott to sort of bring the ideas in, or Brian Downey or Darren Wharton, and nothing really happened. I sort of said to Damon, let's you and I write a song and take it to them and see if they like it, and maybe I'll get the whole thing going. And we wrote the song Bound for Glory, and we took it to Scott and Brian, and they loved it. And it kind of just went from there. And we started writing, we started doing some demos. But there was always this really weird vibe going on, in that I think we were letting the enormity of the occasion get carried away. We kind of thought, okay, playing these songs live is one thing. Recording a brand new Thin Lizzy album without Phil is a totally different thing. And maybe it's taken it too far. And that was always the elephant in the room. So when we kind of did the demos, I was struggling with it. You know, it was my head was sort of going, oh, it's going to be great. You're going to be on a Thin Lizzy record. It's going to be the first Thin Lizzy record in 30 years, blah, blah, blah. And my heart's going, what the fuck are you doing? Right. This is Thin Lizzy. This is sacrilege. You know, playing those songs that are already written and recorded is, you know, that's great, because like I said, you're keeping the flame alive there. But writing and recording new stuff without Phil isn't right. And I think we were all feeling that subconsciously. And then we got into rehearsal one day, and I can't even remember who brought it up. Somebody just was like, I don't think this is the right thing to do. I think it was Scott maybe brought it up. And it was just like the weight came off my shoulders, and I was like, thank God you said that, because I was feeling really weird about it. Dame was like, I was feeling really, really weird about it too, and blah, blah, blah. So it kind of put us at a crossroads, because we'd written all these great songs and we wanted to record them, but we didn't want to put them out as Thin Lizzy. And I said to Scott, well, you know, we've got them. Let's just put them out under a different name, see what happens, you know, just so they're out there, so we're not wasting these great songs. Scott's like, okay. So we came up with the name Black Star Riders. And at that point, Brian Downey and Darren Wharton decided they didn't really want to be involved in what it took to promote and tour a new album and a new band, you know, in the amount of time that they were on the road. So they sort of stepped away, and that was it. Black Star Riders was born, and we had no idea if it was going to turn into anything, if we get past one record, if people would dig it, if people would like it. We just didn't know. We knew the songs were good, but it's not up to us, you know. Right, so right. we put them out there, and you know, here we are, you know, not almost 9 years later, about to record our 5th Black Star Riders album. So I think it worked out okay.
Now, with that being said, is Thin Lizzy done? Are you guys planning on doing anything, or?
No, I mean, that's really Scott's thing, Ramsey. He's, you know, that's you know, Thin Lizzy's Scott's thing, and he I'm sure there'll be a few more Thin Lizzy shows down the road. You know, and like I said, Scott picks up the phone and asks me to sing. I'm there with bells on every time, because it's such an honor. But I think there's definitely talk of some more Lizzy shows down the line.
Well, it's the 35th anniversary of Phil's death this year, so nothing planned.
Yeah. Well, again, you know, because of the pandemic, we can't do anything. You know, we just can't play. So
right.
Yeah.
Now, you said you were gonna get ready to record another Black Star Riders. How do you guys keep in contact when it's quarantine like this?
I mean, just social media, send ideas over the internet. I got to, back in June of last year, when we weren't in total lockdown, our guitar player, Christian Martucci, lives up in Oregon, in sort of in the middle of nowhere, a beautiful spot up in Oregon. He's got a studio up there. So I was able to go up to his place for a week and work on some ideas, just me and him. And we were able to pretty much demo the whole record. So the record's written, but we're just again, we're waiting when we can all convene together in one place and get in the studio and record for real, you know.
So would you ever think about doing piecemeal, like you do yours, and sending over?
No, I mean, that's not really us. I mean, we would, but we're very much a band that likes to you know, to get in the studio and play as a band and get the real live feel there.
It's got to be hard, yeah, for sure. You know, now speaking of everything with this pandemic and closing, you can't record and do this and that. I mean, think about it. Even like I said, the 30th anniversary, that's got to be fucked. Those things open up next year. what are you gonna do? Celebrate the 36th instead of the, you know what I mean?
I don't know. I'd just be happy to get back out there playing. You know. So hey, man, somebody just started drilling on the street. Can you hear that? Is that?
No, I can't hear it on my end.
Oh, good. Okay, all right. I'm sitting on my balcony outside here, and somebody's just started a jackhammer. So I was like, as long as you can't hear it, that's good. Yeah, I just want to get back out there. I think just me personally, and I think most folks will just want to get to shows and just want to play and not really care what the anniversary is, just to have a rock and roll show happening that you can go and see again.
So, you're talking about that drilling out there. It's so fucked doing these interviews like this at your house and not knowing what's going on. I mean,
man, I'll paint a picture for you. I'm at home here in Los Angeles, and obviously we're very blessed here. This beautiful weather. I've kind of set up. We have a really cool balcony in my place, and I've set up camp on the balcony. My little studio's up here, and I've been doing all my promo here. My wife's working downstairs from home,
right.
And then my two daughters, my one's in her room. She's online. She's at college. My other daughter, she's in middle school, so she's online in her room. So you've got all this going on. So we're all fighting for real estate, and have been for the last year because everybody's obviously at home. But yeah, it's you get things like this happening. I've been trying to record stuff out here, and I'm recording something or working on a demo, and somebody will start working on the street, or an airplane will fly over, or whatever. You're like, oh man.
Yeah, man, it's crazy times, especially trying to set anything up. Like I said,
yeah,
I got a kid that's doing online school too. I got dogs running around.
You know all about it, then, man, right?
Yeah, for sure. So what's next for you, man? What do you got going on after?
Well, the solo record's coming out. I'll promote it. I'll keep an eye on what's going on pandemic wise, and when I can start booking dates. But if nothing's going to happen until 2022, and if we're back out there, it's going to be a busy year, because I think, like you said, there might be some Lizzy shows. I'll probably do a bunch of solo shows, and we're planning to get in before the end of the year and record this next Black Star Riders album as well.
See, that's got to be an interesting thing. I mean, when you got so many different projects to work on, who do you decide to tour with when touring starts open?
Well, Black Star Riders is what I call a day job. It takes priority over everything. And we when there isn't a pandemic, we sort of plan 2 or 3 years ahead with our management, so we know what the cycles are going to be. So this year was always scheduled to be, everybody could go and work on their side projects. This year was, Christian was off, obviously working with Corey Taylor with his solo album. I've been doing this, and then we're going to reconvene in next year to do Black Star Riders. So we kind of, we put together a plan, so we know we're going to make a Black Star Riders album. Okay, this year it's going to be touring Black Star Riders. We'll take a break for a year. Everybody can go off and do the other stuff they're involved in, and that's how we run it. I think it's the only way you can.
Now, people want to follow up with you, man. They want to get the album. They want to see if there's some touring. You mentioned you do online shows every month.
Sure.
What do they do for all that?
Go to rickywarwick.com, and there's lots of links there. It will lead you to all the other, social networking sites. I mean, I'm on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, all that stuff, and the links to the album are all on there, and it's pretty easy to navigate. So they should be all right.
Awesome, man. Thank you so much for being on the show.
Man, thank you.
Pleasure talking to you, dude. It was, I've always
you too, brother.
Thin Lizzy. It was, plus I love your new shit.
So right.
Everything.
Thank you, man.
Thank you so
Thanks,
much.
Brother. Reggie, stay safe, and I'll see you soon. Take care, bro. Thank you.